All right, we're going to have call order for the Finger Lakes Regional Land Bank Corporation's meeting on April 22nd, 2025. First up is the approval of the March 25th minutes. Is anybody?
So moved. Second.
Second. Any comments or edits? If not, all in favor of accepting the minutes as is, say aye.
Aye.
Any nay? Accepted. All right. And then we move to the first resolution, and only resolution, 25-17, appointment of professional services. I have a motion.
Motion. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's do a discussion.
Sure. So this is something that we generally do every year, need to do every year, for the standard professional services that the land bank or really any organization would require every year. We took care of accounting last meeting. The remainder are here. So Heaton and Venuti as our general counsel. That's Esther. That's unchanged. They're all unchanged. Hancock Esterbrook out of Syracuse is another law firm that we consult with occasionally. Like if there's something strange that we need a little bit more expert guidance on, we work with them. They are the employer of John Sid, who is the land bank attorney for the state association and the attorney for the Syracuse Land Bank and a number of other ones. So every once in a while, it's good to have access to Mr. Sid at Hancock Esterbrook. The auditors, Bonadio, they've been doing the audit since at least I've been here. They do a perfectly reasonable job every year. It's getting a little bit easier with the upgrade in accounting that in our processes that we've had the last couple of years. And that's it.
All right, that's it. So any other additional comments or questions on this? Not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, passes.
All right.
Now we're moving up to CEO President's update.
All right. Had a busy couple of weeks here. We're still pushing forward on the two primary things we're working on. Here's Lester. Here's Les. We're just getting into updates. We were in a meeting. We've passed the resolution authorizing contracts with professional services. There we go. So we'll take the village of Waterloo first. We are working through getting our zoning permits for our projects in partnership with FLACRA. This is the new construction across two sites, a rebuild of the historic home at 55 Washington Street, plus two more units on the same parcel that would be fronting Huff Street as a duplex. We have received the special use permit required for that site, which is good. So we're all set there. We had a meeting for the duplex for just a site plan review last week at the village, and we did not get that site plan review permit. The meeting itself was interesting. Many people that live nearby attended and had a lot of very colorful things to say about the people that will eventually be renting these units. We're working on a path forward with the village. We have some concerns broadly with the planning board's decision and the way that that decision came about that we're hoping to address relatively soon. Just before the meeting, there was a comment about the state budget and waiting for that to pass, wondering when it will. I'm hoping they take their time because the funding application that we need to do both these sites, this whole project, is going to be due. The estimate is roughly 3 weeks after the state budget is passed. And to be competitive in that process, we are hoping to have that zoning permit issue worked out for 17 Walnut. So if New York State continues to take their time, I'm not going to have any complaints with the state budget. And it sounds like we're moving forward in a way with the village where we can get something scheduled the week of the 5th, May 5th, one of those days. 6th. You know, on the 6th, hopefully the 6th, to attempt a redo of that first meeting. So I have the site plan here for all of our sites, actually. I think last time somebody on the board asked if I could bring pictures and the drawings just in general to these meetings. So I did that this time. So I have these here for anybody to look at. But yeah, there was no, as far as I'm aware, there's no actual issue with the site plan. A duplex is a by right use in the R2 residential district. This is a duplex that we're proposing. We're not asking for any variances. So we're hoping to take a vote on the site plan at the next opportunity.
So you have to change the zoning to do it?
No,
Oh, okay. You said zoning, you was having a problem, so I didn't know if you had to change it.
no, the zoning, it's allowed under the zoning. They just don't, they still don't like it.
Oh, okay.
Not in my backyard thing.
That's exactly what it is.
That's the way everything is.
Yeah,
Used to it.
Supervisor, I am starting to really admire our friends in Junius and Ovid that don't have zoning. That's- It's easier. You might have something to, there might be something to that.
It has its good points with that.
Yeah, so hopefully we can pull that together. I think if we can limp over the finish line, if the budget passes and they take their time and we can get our zoning approval pushed through for 17 Walnut, I think we're going to be in a very competitive position for this project. I really do. That brings our cost per unit in the request to the state down into something that they're going to be more comfortable with instead of just blowing their expected costs out of the water with 4 units. Getting up to 5 gets it to a more average cost. So that's the reason that we're doing this. The next update is for the Seneca Housing Incorporated projects that we're doing in Ovid and Hamlet of Willard. This is the project with Melissa at Seneca Housing for 7 units across both sites. No zoning in Ovid, so we're good. We will have to do secret as this board when we get to the point of authorizing a sales contract and all that stuff. But that's something that we handle as the closest public body making the decision about this. The Willard site in the town of Romulus, we had a ZBA meeting last week, and that was another interesting one. It was just before Waterloo. We attended. We're having an interesting issue with how they are interpreting their own rules. So without getting too deep in the weeds, we're having conflicts about right-of-ways, how wide they are, where you measure a setback from, how you multiply 1.5 by X, all sorts of things. The zoning board of appeals, they did pass a resolution allowing us to move the building footprint back 11 feet, which for the life of me, I cannot figure out I cannot do the math backwards to arrive at where they got that number from. And I think there is a path to continuing to work with them to get us into a position where site plan that's workable for everybody can pass that board. Luckily, timing is important, but it's not as compressed as the Waterloo issue. I think we got a little bit more time to work this one out, and I'm confident that we will. So that one isn't quite the issue that the other one is. So yeah, I think broadly, we're hoping to work with Romulus where most of the Willard campus is eventually, right? And these would be the same rules, the same board, the same people associated with most of the actual development of the space on that campus. So I think this is a good opportunity to have a conversation about zoning administration and enforcement and the actual rules to get us into a position where the state's looking at our zoning code and our everything as part of their secret review for any sort of transfer. These same issues are going to need to be contemplated. So lucky we're doing it now. So those are the main updates. Again, the good news is we got the biggest, most important piece of funding for the Seneca housing sites presented to their board last week about the project. And they're excited and are happy to continue working with us, which is important because again, we're going to need everybody on board, including them, to help us do a lot of the things that we're trying to pursue. So I think we're going to be okay. We're just going to fight through these little issues and hopefully in a few months we'll have some resolution here. For Seneca Lane,
Do
yes,
you have a projected date we're gonna break ground or anything?
probably spring 26 on both of them. So I mean, we got to sort through the zoning stuff. Once the application is accepted for the Flapper one, we have to move to the closing. They have to actually onboard their consultants and contractors and all that stuff, and that stuff takes time. I think depending on how long things take, there is a small chance that they may be able to start in Waterloo earlier, like October, November, if it makes sense. But I don't think we're going to be in a position for the Willard ones to
Ours should be effortless. You can do anything you want, whatever you want.
Maybe. I wish that were the case. No, it is not. So spring 26 is all going well. We should be breaking ground in all these places. For Seneca Lane, this is the Presbyterian Church project, so they are interested in addressing the housing issues in Seneca Falls and have been looking for ways to do so. And they've landed on just buying properties and donating them to the land bank, which works out for us. We are going to partner with Seneca Housing to eventually accept it. We're going to use the remaining portion of our LBI grant to start the process for rehabbing, stabilizing the place. We're going to spend that grant down. We're in the process of applying for the next round, where we'll get the rest of the money needed to finish it. When we're done, we'll give it to Seneca Housing, who will then lease it to Lakeview Mental Health, who has a contract with the mental health department here at the county for supportive housing or transitional housing.
Could be either.
Could be either. At that point, I'm not going to split hairs. So it's a good deal for Seneca Housing because Lakeview manages the rental aspect of it. Seneca Housing just kind of owns the property and collects the check. And Margaret over at the mental health department is able to pursue the treatment options and everything that she needs for her population. So that was nice. It's simpler in many ways than all of these other things we're trying to do, and I'm hoping that that's something we can kind of continue modeling, because not every project can be this, right? Figure out how to do a suite of different things. I believe Esther is working on coordinating with the church's attorney to process the donation. Once we have it, we'll get the sign off from HCR and get started with the architects and engineers and all those folks that we have to get our environmental approvals and start the process to rehab that place and continue forward. Two other little updates. We got the SHPO clearance from the State Office of Historic Preservation for 55 Walnut to demo it. So that was a long process. We had to go through an agreement, a letter of resolution, an MOA with SHPO to allow us to spend state money to tear down a eligible historic home. Again, another valuable learning opportunity. So we did achieve the sign off from SHPO. I think HCR needs to kind of update their file, and that means we'll pass the environmental checklist that we need to tear it down. So we should be releasing the RFP any day now to pursue that. And there's a strong potential by next meeting we could be reviewing and choosing a kennel contractor. And things are proceeding as I hope they are. And that, between those two things, the work at 4 Seneca Lane and demoing 55 Washington should pretty much take up our current LBI grant. We're going to be in great position to apply for the next round. We'll get the rest of the money for Seneca Housing and the Open Willard projects, and the money for acquisitions and starting the next round looking at the summer. And that's it. Anybody have any questions? Comments?
Not, we'll go on to the news update. Esther?
She always takes all my news.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I am working on things. Yeah, so we're working on taking the donation from the church, which is complex, but shouldn't be problematic ultimately. They're very cooperative, and so that should work. And yeah, we're gonna have all kinds of legal work and agreements as these processes go forward. So I don't have any more specific to say.
Was it the Attorney General's office or the state court that you have to get signed off the Presbyterian Church?
So when churches transfer property, they have to be approved to do so either through the Attorney General's office or the court, depending on their denomination. So the denomination, this is Presbyterian Church, the statute to me looks like they're gonna go through the Seneca County Supreme Court. I don't know if that means it's faster or slower. To do it that way, their attorney's gonna handle it. So we're gonna make the contract contingent on them receiving that approval, but we're gonna get pre-possession ahead of time to start the work on it because we know we're gonna take it. It's just a matter of when. So it's 2 agreements, kind of going back and forth. I don't know, I'd be interested to see their timeline once they apply on the court. They have to just show that they've gone through their corporations as well, churches are. So they have their own bylaws, their own processes they have to go through if they're gonna expend these assets. So they have to do those things and prove that they did it and that there has to be a good reason for it. So I imagine they're gonna meet all of these requirements, but it does take a little bit of time to process.
Yeah, so nothing's ever easy.
Right, exactly. The idea of them just handing it over is not as,
Not,
Yeah, I should have known.
I should have.
it sounded like.
It is New York after all.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they couldn't be that simple.
But the good news is, the next time a church wants to give us anything, we know, we're gonna add that into it.
CFO, not in attendance today. We did receive back our reimbursement request. And I believe it would have popped up somewhere on here. So the LBI grants are reimbursement based. We put in for a reimbursement of around $140,000 or so, which we received and then was deposited and then subsequently transferred back into the general checking, which makes sense because there's $115,000 in there. At one point, that was down to near 10,000 in the recent months. So that was made up by that reimbursement, which is how this is supposed to work. And we were successful in that reimbursement. We paid the contractors that did the demolition, and we submitted all of the WBE requirement stuff that we had to show that we did during the procurement process to get reimbursed, and they gave us the reimbursement, which means they accepted that WBE work and documentation that we submitted, which we weren't super concerned about, but there was always a question as to whether New York State is going to like what you did or not. So we got it on that one, and we'll do the same thing we do. We'll do the same thing when we tear down 55 Washington and hope we get that reimbursed as well. And hopefully Mike will return soon to do a more in-depth analysis. I can always explain how much money we have and where we have it, but I struggle with these dual entry county reports.
Nothing else? Is there any new business?
New business, I guess, you want to bring up anything, John, about what the email was today, or no?
I can, if you'd like.
If you just want to give us some information on it, I printed off the parcel status report and I gave it to Esther before you come over here, or what is that? I mean, I don't know. If you want to give some background on it, I really didn't know.
Sure, be glad to. So there is a person that has been in business with revitalizing housing properties for some time, pretty active in Geneva. Has found properties now in the village that she is in the process of revitalizing. She has a group of investors that she oversees that also gets involved. One of them has also done a property in the village. And she reached out and basically asked the question. She said, I'd like to do about 6 more properties in the village of Waterloo. Do you have any guidance, help, assistance with properties that maybe to look at? And in the correspondence, as you read, she said that she does try to help also with owners that are having trouble making their payments on taxes and so forth. She's had experience working through those as well. But in any event, anybody familiar with the village, the big one she's doing is 223 West, which is the old home with the big white pillars.
Oh, yeah, on the corner.
And she's doing a nice job so far with that. It just so happens we've had that and a different person that also is at 115 East Old Dock Street. Remember that residence? That's doing work done. So there's activity on Main Street. So some of the focus has been on Main Street to try to revitalize that because obviously it's very visible when that happens. But again, back to your point, she's just asked if there's any help that we might provide on possible properties to look at. And she's going to be in the village tomorrow looking at properties on her own, but if there's any in particular, that was what she reached out. So again, that was just an outreach to ask the
I would
question.
have crossed the street. from
42 West is the one in particular we were wondering about because it's been vacant, it's right in downtown, it's actually a nice building. but I don't know the background of.
I could give it, yeah, I just did one copy of it. Esther has this, the parcel status report for the taxes. It appears Wells Fargo Bank took it over. So, I don't know, must be the same situation what happened probably on Washington Street.
I would
Where
imagine-
somebody used to own it.
Yeah.
Didn't pay
Went,
for it.
yeah, went for bank foreclosure, I'm guessing.
It must have, the Wells Fargo owns it.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking,
Is
so,
Wells Fargo the one we did before too?
Yep.
yeah, with the
So-
Washington Street.
I think for that specific one, I can reach out to Lee at the codes office and see if that's a property they've been involved with. What's the address?
It's 42 West Main Street.
Because that was the route that we went with 55 Washington, because they have that, the codes department has access to that zombie property database that the state keeps that gives them somebody to give code violation citations to when the bank pursues a foreclosure on one of these properties and it goes vacant. And that is how we were connected to Wells Fargo for 55 Washington. This house is not nearly as bad. So I don't know if Wells Fargo would be willing to let this one go or not.
Yeah, from our standpoint, we can't do anything with it because the taxes are paid up. It's the same situation, it's a situation of taxes are paid up by the bank, they've been paying them.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's sitting in limbo right now, probably sit there and
There are,
maybe.
so through that same database that hopefully the coast department still has access to, you can try to get it listed for an expedited foreclosure and do certain things to try to move that along. The reason that they did this, the state, I think it's unique to New York, maybe other states do it, I'm not sure. But the zombie property laws are pretty strict, and places like Niagara Falls have neighborhoods and neighborhoods of these things that were sitting forever. They couldn't be shaken loose. So they created a process to get them to be shaken loose. That's what we took advantage of for 55 Washington, but there might be a path for doing it at this one too. I don't know.
That's good.
Well, yeah, appreciate anything, see if we get any feedback. Email chain, everybody's connected, so if
Yeah,
questions
Right,
pop up.
oh, that's fine. No, thank you.
But actually, it seems like, this is just my take, there's more activity that we've noticed starting to happen in the area for this, and I'd like to keep it going so that it continues throughout.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I think there's ways we could be supportive, not necessarily for the land, but there's, I think, different avenues we could talk about. Right?
Okay. Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you.
30 Virginia Street, last thing.
Okay.
So our DEC agreement is still out there somewhere. Esther has been,
I did do something else.
Esther has been just barraging the DEC with emails at a weekly scheduled time every week for, what are you going on, 2 years now?
2 years.
And with recent developments with 30 Virginia Street and the dry cleaning facility down there, it's right next to our bowling alley site. Our bowling alley site's impacted by it. We are pushing the DEC, Esther's pushing the DEC to just give us something. And that something will hopefully have 30 Virginia Street on it listed. So if that comes through, we would be able to acquire and take possession of the property that's on that Schedule A and essentially have an agreement not to sue with the DEC for any environmental liability while we get it into the brownfield cleanup program and make something happen out there. So we've been working on this for a while, but this is the same agreement that would allow us to foreclose on all those properties all around the county that have, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars of unpaid taxes on them, but we can't take because of concerns of environmental liability. So any day now, maybe we'll get authorization for 30 Virginia, and maybe the day after that, we'll get the rest of them. But I think it's gonna be an important tool to help sort some of these things out. I think that's actually it.
That's it? Okay. All right. There's nothing there. We can make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So,
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I was waiting for you.
I will write down there and second that.